Or good afternoon. Welcome to SnapTech's October 2025 monthly webinar. My name is Ted Hulsy. I'm Chief Revenue Officer for SnapTech IT and your host for today's event. Today's session will be recorded and you can track down a on-demand version of it on our YouTube channel, just like with all of our monthly webinars. The topic for this month is what's new with Microsoft Copilot, killer new features. I'm joined today by Nathan Caldwell, our marketing manager. Nathan, welcome to today's webinar.
Thanks so much, Ted. It feels wonderful to be here.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Today is going to be very demo focused. But before we get started, we do like to just spend 2 minutes letting you know, if you don't know who SnapTech IT is, we want to just make sure everybody's grounded in that. SnapTech IT, we are a cybersecurity first managed IT provider with operations in Atlanta, Georgia, Phoenix, Arizona, and the San Francisco Bay Area. Our point of view is that technology should solve problems, not create them. When clients come to us, they're often frustrated with their current provider, or maybe their own internal IT team is a bit overwhelmed and needs help. Maybe they're suffering from various forms of technology downtime or cybersecurity issues, or maybe you're just losing sleep over whether you're doing enough on the cybersecurity front. We try to solve all of these problems for our clients, and we do it with a proven process. When new clients come to us, we put in place a technology plan. That technology plan is going to give you a roadmap on how we're going to improve your IT every day and every month of your relationship with us. You also have a predictable budget, so you'll know where you'll be spending over the months and years. And we try to put all of those technology challenges to bed, which allows our clients to work anywhere securely, grow their business, and to do so confidently. And then things will break. Technology, things always break. And when things do break, when you do need support, you can access us and reach out to us for fast and friendly and effective IT support. And we're going to secure your entire organization, which will bring your executive team and your employees peace of mind that their data is secure and that they're protected from the threat actors out there in the world. We support our clients in 2 different ways. If you're a smaller organization and you don't have anybody with IT on their badge, we do what we call fully managed IT. And if you're a larger organization and you have an IT director or an IT team, in those cases, organizations are often looking for more capacity, helping them with their growth, get more of those IT projects off the back burner. In those situations, we deliver what's called co-managed IT, where we come alongside the existing IT team and work together. And that's usually larger organizations that have an existing IT department. Now, Nathan, let's look at today's agenda. Today we're not going to do an introduction to Copilot. We're really presuming most of you who have joined today have maybe attended a previous webinar that we might have done. We've been doing a lot of content about Copilot over the past year and a half, and we're presuming that almost all of you have a basic understanding of what Copilot does. But today we're going to go a level deeper, and we're really going to laser focus on the new features and capabilities of Microsoft Copilot that have really rolled out in the past 6 months. I think it's pretty fair to say that Microsoft is doing more innovation in the past couple years than they've really done in a long time. So many things are changing, and every day like features move. Your experience changes, and every month there's new things coming down the pike, especially when it comes to artificial intelligence and the way generative AI as a technology is making its way into the Microsoft suite and the experience. So we're going to really laser focus on these new features and capabilities today. And if you feel like coming out of today's session, well, I need like more of a basics introduction to Copilot, I would encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and access one of our earlier sessions introducing Copilot. But here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to make this very demo focused, so no death by PowerPoint here. We're going to get right into the product itself and show you how these different capabilities work. Nathan's going to take you through how the Microsoft really experience across the board in Microsoft 365 is changing because of Copilot. We're going to look at how ChatGPT 5 is now supported in Copilot. We're going to look at new personalization capabilities in Outlook and additional new enhancements to the experience of using Copilot in PowerPoint. So that's what Nathan's going to look at. And then I'm going to take you through some of the new reasoning agents like Researcher and Analyst and show you how those work. We're going to talk a bit about how you can collaborate on AI-generated content with your colleagues or business partners with things like Pages, and we're also going to look at notebooks. And then we want to take your questions, so use the Q&A log as we go along. Let's look at, we did want to just comment a little bit on, just some comments around Copilot licensing. Today, every commercial customer of Microsoft 365, when you log into your web-based experience, there are a host of different Copilot features that are available to you for free. And Microsoft calls this Copilot Chat. And Nathan's going to get into that in some greater detail in a moment. But basically, when you go to office.com or Microsoft365.com and you log in with your username and password to your Microsoft experience, that's where you land at the Copilot Chat experience. And that is included for free. That is just included with your Microsoft 365. And so you could do a host of different generative AI tasks from that interface. But what you don't get if you're on the free version is you don't get the generative AI capability actually in the other Microsoft apps that we use on a day-to-day basis. Applications like Microsoft Teams, Outlook, Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. You'll know you'll have the full version of Copilot license because you'll see the Copilot icon in those applications, and you'll actually be able to use these AI features in the actual application. And so that's really the difference. I mean, Microsoft, I would say, in my personal opinion, is probably one of the most responsible players in the market in the sense that they're like, AI, it's not intended to be a free, like the power of this technology is not intended to be free. It's super powerful. It fundamentally transforms what you can do with Microsoft apps, and they charge premium for it. And so the cost of the Copilot is $30 per user per month. You can license it on a monthly basis or on an annual basis. It's slightly more expensive if you license it on a month-to-month basis, but it's effectively, call it $30 per employee per month. That's not cheap. That's a more than doubling of most organizations' Microsoft licensing expense if you happen to license it for every user in your organization. So it is a big investment, but it's very powerful. And Nathan and I are going to show you some of these powerful capabilities today. So with that, let's go to the demos, and I'm going to change presenters and hand the ball over to Nathan, or I think Nathan just grabbed it. Do you think you grabbed it, Nathan? Did you?
Yeah. So okay. I should be showing my screen now. Are you seeing that, Ted?
I am.
All right, marvelous. So let's hop right in. So Ted already gave a little bit of a highlight of this, that now if you're going to your Microsoft 365 landing page online, it's no longer just a Microsoft page. It is now a familiar looking, if you've been using ChatGPT, it's a familiar looking experience. And so right away it takes you into chat, so you can begin using Copilot. Now you can see this is where the prompting is, right in the middle, where you can message Copilot and immediately begin with your answers. Before we do that though, before I start exercising that, I want to show you a couple other buttons up here that you'll want to pay attention to. And so the first is this, try ChatGPT, try GPT-5. Now this is the latest and greatest LLM, large language model from OpenAI. And the cool thing about this latest model is that it's going to be a little more predictive based on your prompts. It's going to read into what you're looking for, and therefore it's going to also predict what tool you want it to use, what version you want it to use in order to answer that prompt. And so, it's all about energy efficiency. It's all about getting you better results in faster time. And so if it can choose a model, if you're asking a very simple question, it'll just want to choose a model that isn't like deep research. However, if you are asking a question that requires deep research, it wants to find that out. It wants to figure out your intention and then predict the right model to bring an answer back to you so you can be happier with your result. And so it's a faster result. And then also because you aren't asking it like, no, you got it wrong, do it again, do it again, do it again. That takes a lot of energy and time as well. So it's looking to be more efficient, understand what you want to get at, and choose the right model right to begin with. So that's a bit of it. Also, what you get with this is a larger context window. And so what that means is now through Copilot, you can process even larger docs that you could have before, longer conversations than you could have before, and even more code. And then they're also saying that it's safer and more robust output and better reasoning, like we were talking about, where it can figure out what you are trying to get to in your prompt. So that's the first thing, is turning this on so it can do that prediction for you. The second thing to pay attention to is you can choose work or web. Now, this is very important if you are trying to get an answer that does access your content for your organization. And so it will search OneDrive, it'll search SharePoint if you have the work turned on. And so that way it's bringing out specific answers to what you're doing in your job rather than just general information that's available out on the web. So with that being said, I'm going to select work so that it does take a look at our content that we do have shared. That includes my Outlook email, that includes my calendar, that includes a lot of different things, Teams chats, different things like that. And so I want to make sure that it is searching because I want to ask it this question. I'm going to prompt it, and you'll see that I'm just pasting in my prompts. That way you don't have to watch me type and mess up and cause typos. So I'm just pulling my prompt. I copied and pasted it over. But here's what I'm asking. What are the new features of Copilot we need to discuss on our webinar? And so it's going to know that I'm asking something personal and specific to us, not just in general. And so let's see what the results are. Here we go. Let's ask Copilot. And, I feel like this is a little bit like Pee-wee's Playhouse when he goes to his genie and the genie's like, mecca lecca hi, mecca hiney ho, and you're waiting for those results to come back. But let's take a look and see what it's doing. So right off the bat, it tells you what it's doing. Hey, to tailor this for your webinar, I'll first look for any internal decks and threads about Copilot features, then cross-check with the latest public announcements so you don't miss anything. So it's searching, and then it's got a bunch of stuff teed up. And take a look at this new Copilot UI, excelling with Excel. Well, we aren't going to talk about Excel today because that's as Ted and I discussed, we're now calling it Excelephant because this is just gigantic. And but we have Copilot Notebook. Hey, Ted, you said you're going to look at Notebook. You said you're going to look at Researcher and Analyst. So this is awesome, and look at where it's coming from. We have some client communication. We also have it pulling some stuff from me in a chat, and so that's pretty helpful. And then it's also coming up with some information about Copilot from the internet as well. So super helpful, really great results. And I already discussed a bit about the the GPT-5 support that's showing up here in Copilot. So Ted, any other comments or feedback about this and what it can do here in the browser?
No, I mean, I think you highlighted the important thing that you can right there very easily, right at the top of the page, control the experience you're going to get in terms of the results of the prompt. Do you want to leverage internal content from your Microsoft Graph, which is the Microsoft Graph is all of the content that you have access to inside your organization, like you said, Nathan, your Teams messages, your email, all of your files in OneDrive and SharePoint. And I think it did a really good job there, I think, in that demo of showing you results that are kind of gleaned from internal content and things we've been talking about and documenting in various mediums versus what's pulled from the web. But if you wanted to just have a web-based experience, you would just toggle the web on and the search results would be very different. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, so the next thing to take a look at from the page here is actually this button right here, the apps. And this is what Ted had mentioned too, where you can go over and you can pull open the different Microsoft apps and begin using Copilot in them here in the browser. And what we're going to look at next is how you can actually customize Copilot to be a more closer ghostwriter to your voice so that it can prompt and craft emails for you. So let's go ahead and we're going to open my Outlook. And I know that a ton of you are going to have like heart attacks with the number of unopened emails that I have, but I get a lot of Office replies from people that I just don't end up touching and then I grab and get rid of them. So mass cleaning when I do that. But please, please don't be clutching your hearts just yet, okay? What I'm going to show you is how you can draft with Copilot. So immediately you can go over here to the Copilot button over at the right and click on it there, or you could even draft a new email. And so let's go ahead and do it this way. We're going to click on draft a new email, and then you can see that it's saying draft with Copilot here. So you would want to click on the Copilot button, the icon there, and then it's going to ask you, what do you want it to say? And so I'm going to grab my prompt, and so you don't see my slow typing skills, but I'm going to tell it to write an email to Ted highlighting the best new features in Copilot that we should include in our webinar. So I'm staying on theme for our topic today. And now I'm going to click generate, and let's see what it comes up with. It's writing my email right now, and oh, I really like that it captures my enthusiasm, my positive voice by saying, I hope you're having an amazing day. And I do, Ted, I really do. But then it closes off with best regards. And I just want to highlight, like, there's a lot of text in here. Like, Ted's got to read this word by word in order to get to the point that I want him to understand. So rather than dealing with that, rather than hitting make it shorter a bunch of times, because you do have that option, if you can see here, Copilot is wondering, like, should I keep it? Should I discard it? Do you want me to retry? Do you want me to make it shorter or longer? Do you want me to change the tone? So there, you can even select write a poem, make it like a poem, which I don't want to do with Ted. Sometimes Ted has his alter ego out, which is Ed, and he would not accept content in the form of a poem if he is performing with his alter ego, which is all business all the time. And so I want to make sure I'm short and to the point. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, you know what, discard this. I don't want that. Here's where the customization comes into play. So take a look. I'm going to the top right. I'm clicking on settings here. My settings window opens up. You can see that there are some setting options for Copilot. And then you can see I have Copilot on, so that's important. But I want to change the draft instructions. Ooh, looky what we have here, custom instructions. So I can give the Copilot some instructions about my email, like the tone, length, and greeting, so I don't have to change it every single time it doesn't get it right. Hopefully, we start from a place where it is better aligned with how I want to speak and also how I want to convey the information across. So let's turn this on. And oh, there's already some instructions here. So I pulled those over and pasted those in. And here's what I'm telling it to do. Never use, I hope this finds you well, or any other version of that phrase, because I never want to find anyone well. I just don't wish well-being on anyone. No, that's
Well,
not
no,
true, but I hate that
this
phrase.
bears commenting. We're not like unfriendly, but for anybody who's used Copilot in Outlook, the the default settings, every single email that it sends, it hopes it finds you well. Like every single email starts with that, and that's
Yeah.
super annoying. I mean, there's just stylistic things that the programmers at Microsoft have kind of put into um, into the like the base core defaults that become pretty annoying over time. And I hope this finds you well is one of them. It's almost become a meme. You see people joking about it all the time. But anyway, it's one of my like pet peeves. Like for months, this was a thing you could not change. And it's not that I don't hope people to. It's not that I don't hope they're well. It's that I don't need to start every email with it. But go ahead, Nathan, and show them further how.
I hope you're well, but I don't say it like that. That's not how I speak. And so it's a dead giveaway that all of a sudden I've got a robot speaking on my behalf. I hope this finds you well. People will be like, that's not Nathan. So we don't want that. We want to change it. And then also, I'm thinking about Ted, okay? Because I do care about Ted, and I do want to find him well. And his mental well-being hangs in the balance if I don't get straight to the point. Much like in my demo right now, he's wringing his hands, being like, speed it up, Nathan. So here's what I'm telling it to do. Use bullet points and lists to be brief. I want it to use dear in the salutation. I want it to use thank you as the message close. And I want it to never use best regards or regards. I don't know. I don't like that word. I've never used it in my regular speech. And so I'm not going to use it. So I'm going to hit save. All right, it is saved. I'm going to close out of this. I'm going to go back to drafting with Copilot, and I'm going to grab the exact same prompt I had earlier so that you can see the difference that this is going to cause. So here we go. Write an email to Ted highlighting the best new features in Copilot that we should include in our webinar. All right, let's see what it does here. It's writing my email. Boom, look at what it did right there. It said, Dear Ted. It closed with thank you instead of regards. It doesn't say, I hope this finds you well. And all of a sudden it is bullet points. Now, here's the thing though. I know Ted, and I know that it's going to irritate him that there are dashes and asterisks here for bullets. He just wants one clean bullet for each of these points. So I do have a bit of editing to do, but it's way closer and took a lot less time. I know I've been talking a lot, so that took up time, but I'm just showing you how it works. It will save you a lot of time, so make sure you're using that customization. All right, so that's it for me from prompting in Outlook and how you can set customizations to your drafting. And now we are going to head over to PowerPoint. Ted, do you have any comments on the Outlook features here?
I mean, just maybe a brief one. This is pretty awesome. I mean, for many months, this was kind of like became kind of like a kind of a buggy thing with Outlook and Copilot, in my view, in the sense that you couldn't customize the voice or the tone and make it a standard and make it your own. And now that these personalization features are in there, it's really quite awesome. And you could keep going, adding more bullets there. But I think we showed, from a simple before after demo there of how it immediately incorporated the tonal guidance and style guidance you gave it. So I think it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and it helps you get to done that much faster, right? Because then you aren't regenerate, try again. Oh, that part of it's better, but now this other part's really weird in it. So anyway, it's a lot faster. All right, so going over to PowerPoint, We're going to show you a couple things. So one thing in PowerPoint, and again, we're at the landing page and we click on apps and we click on PowerPoint, and it's going to open up PowerPoint for us. We're going to create a blank presentation. And this is something that we have shown you multiple times in Copilot, and it's really fascinating to see it at work, where you can click on the Copilot icon right here. And now I do want to highlight this, what Ted and I found in our experimentation with this, and he highlighted this in the intro, how there's always things changing in Copilot. And so our instruction right now at this moment, if you want to use Copilot in PowerPoint, is to invoke Copilot right here in the top left corner of the slide, rather than Copilot up here in the menu bar. And what we're finding is when you're invoking it in the menu bar, it just becomes kind of like a chat helper. And you'll ask it to create a slide and it'll just outline a slide. It'll get info from the internet for you and all that sort of stuff, but it won't ever get to making the slide. So we want to highlight this, invoke Copilot right here. Top left corner, we're going to do make a new presentation, and we're going to ask it to do a new presentation about electric vehicles. All right, so let's go Copilot. So it's going to create a PowerPoint presentation. Now, the first thing it does to save a bit of time is it outlines the presentation, and I'm going to say, yeah, that looks good. So down here at the bottom right, I'm going to go ahead and tell it to generate those slides. And so it's going to add those titles to the slides. It's going to create them all based on that outline that it was suggesting to me. And what we're going to now see is we're going to take a look at it together, and we're going to look for something in there that's missing. So this is the hot new feature that we want to highlight to you, and how it will save you a ton of time. And so it's the capability of, in the middle of a presentation, finding something that's missing and then adding a new slide and having it generate that new slide. All right, so let's take a look at this presentation, and we're going to quickly hop through and say, hey, what's missing from this? So we got the agenda overview, great. We got some history, that's fine. Some technology behind electric vehicles, okay, electric motors, rechargeable batteries, infrastructure challenges, okay, electric powertrains and combustion engines. Well, that's a neat thing that, you know, I wasn't going to think of when I create this presentation. But as we go on, let's see here. As we get down here, you know what? It's not telling me about actual electric vehicle companies that are out there. So close to the end, I want to also highlight, let's do it right here. I'm going to select where I want this slide to go. I'm going to click on the Copilot, again, top left, and rather than create a new presentation or anything like that, I want to add a slide. So it'll come up, and I want to add a slide, and here is the prompt that I'm going to use right here. Okay, the top electric vehicle companies in the USA, because it didn't mention them. And now I'm hoping that's going to talk about Tesla or, you know, a bunch of others. Here we go. Let's hit that prompt. Now it's going to go through and create a new slide for me. Now this is a big deal. This is an awesome new feature. And so let's take a look at what it did. Yep, leading EV companies in the US.
Nathan,
yeah.
Just maybe to jump in, like,
yeah,
I think maybe some people viewing this might be like, well, how is this such an amazing feature? I think it's really important to highlight what the before used to be. It used to be when you would create a PowerPoint from scratch like this, and you gave it the prompt, and it would create all the slides. If there was like a set of slides or a slide that was just simply missing, and you wanted Copilot to actually generate it for you, you had to like regenerate the entirety of the deck. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I mean, again, this might seem like, wow, okay, what an obvious feature. How did they miss that on the first try go around? I mean, the reality is there's no better slide generation tool that's AI powered than PowerPoint with Copilot.
Mm-hmm.
Google Gemini doesn't hold a candle to it. All of the third-party solutions that are out on the marketplace don't hold a candle to Microsoft. So we can maybe be a little bit critical of Microsoft, like how could you introduce this without this feature of adding just a single slide? But it's now here. And it's a big
Mm-hmm.
deal because it's very common that you're going to be creating a slide deck and you might say, well, it's 80% of what I want to talk about, but I need 3 more slides and I want a topic on A and topic on B, but go ahead and show them what it did here.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to also talk about that Gemini versus Copilot, back even just a handful of months ago, Gemini could create a single slide at a time. And when we were doing the battle, like the throwdown street fight between Gemini and Copilot, we thought that Gemini took kind of a step ahead because of that single slide capability. Because you get so close, yet you're so far. It's like a Tom Petty lyric. And so it does talk about Tesla, it does talk about Rivian, and it does talk about GM. And so it did a great job. It took what I asked and it brought it there into that. Now, another feature, Ted, that we haven't talked about is, you talked about it a long time ago, is the design suggestions. Well, they have merged it. This has been around for a long time, but now they've merged it with Copilot. And so it's even stronger in PowerPoint to get the different designers. See how it tells you that? Designer is now part of Copilot. And so it's helping you to choose different designs, different layouts, so that you can just choose it and make it look a little bit better. So that's what I wanted to share there. You know, appreciate it. Thanks, Ted, also for adding the color commentary there. And I'm going to throw it back over to you.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Nathan. So let's see here. Okay, I'm going to show my screen. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to talk about is, let's see here. Okay. All right. So the first thing we're going to look at is what Microsoft calls reasoning agents. So as Nathan shared, you know, when you're running ChatGPT 5, one of the cool things about ChatGPT 5 is it's the agent, it's the Copilot, when it's running ChatGPT 5, it's smart enough to understand your prompt and understand whether you're you know, asking something that should have a fast response or something that requires deep research. So that's kind of built into your experience when you're using Copilot with ChatGPT 5. However, a lot of times, you know, going into the work you're going to try to do with an AI tool, you know whether it's deep research or not. And if you need to do research, you can shortcut that process by just going to Researcher. So Researcher, as one of the reasoning agents, is nested right over here alongside you know, some other default agents. And what Researcher does is Researcher, just like the name says, it does really high quality and deep research on topics you give it. And for anybody who's kind of a research hound, this is just, in my opinion, it's still, to me, kind of jaw-dropping what you can do with this tool. And let me just show you a couple quick examples. The first thing I want to show you, and I like Nathan, I have some of my prompts saved over here, and so I'm just going to toggle back and forth between these. But I'm going to grab a prompt and copy it over here, so we're not you know, boring everybody by typing this out. But let me just give you an example of something that would be kind of commonly considered like a research task. So let me just read my prompt. Do a comparison of the size, growth rates, and market share between AWS, Amazon Web Services, and Google Cloud. Are there any data points on pricing strategies or other standout features? Which platforms have the greatest breadth? Okay, That's a quintessential research topic. But it's one, like, can you imagine having to go do all that research just by doing Google searches and reading pages and coming back and documenting everything together? Now, with literally the click of a mouse, you can send off a researcher to go do this kind of research for you. Now, be forewarned, the reality with researcher is that it's not fast, it's thorough. And one of the things you'll notice is it'll often give you a series of questions that's going to make it allow it to be even more precise in its search. So things it wants to understand first before it proceeds is, are you interested in global market share and growth rates? Should I include historical trends or just current data? You mentioned breadth. Are you referring to the range of services? And let me just go ahead and answer these things so that the answer is on point for its research task. And I'm going to say, go global. Let's focus on 2025. And yes, that is what I mean by breadth. And that you can literally use this kind of almost conversational style in terms of interacting with the tool, and then it gets it. Now, the reality with researcher is it takes time. This is a job that you trigger and then come back to, let it run and then come back to it. And so I'm not going to bore you as this runs, and it could take 10 minutes, 8 minutes, 15 minutes to complete this task. So we're not going to do that. So I just wanted to show you how you would kick off a search with researcher. But what I want to do is kind of just go in and show some different use cases of how I use researcher. And let's just go in and I'll show a couple examples. Okay, so one of the things that one of the things that you could do with researcher is, hey, sometimes it makes sense to research the competition. And so I'm going to go down to my history here and just show some research tasks that I did previously, and just to show you the quality of the output that we get. And so this one is, there's a managed service provider called Vallejo Networks. We were in a deal a couple of months back, and I wanted to understand more information about Vallejo Networks. And I asked researcher to go give me a competitive snapshot of Vallejo Networks from 2023 to 2025. And it went and ran it. It told me, okay, they have 100 employees. They're roughly 25 million in revenue. It tells me a little bit about their growth. It tells me where they have office locations. It tells me a little bit about how they've come to this size. It's an MSP that has acquired a couple other companies, and so here's some of the history of some of the companies they've acquired. And they've got private equity backing, so they've got some bankers behind them. Here are the people on the leadership team. So I think you get the picture. This is incredibly compelling. In just a couple of minutes, I get a whole briefing book on a competitor using researcher. Let me look at my notes over here and look at a different one. Another one. Okay, what's another one that we could use that is kind of interesting is there's lots of people love to invest in the stock market. One thing I've been kind of fascinated by as an investor in the recent past is how UPS and FedEx's stock prices have fallen quite a bit. And so, one research task I've previously done is I asked researcher to do a complete financial analysis of UPS and FedEx. So, I think we all know the macro story. The really interesting thing is UPS and FedEx ship more packages in the United States than anybody else. When you order on Amazon, you often get something from it's often packed by UPS. But they're in a huge war with Amazon at the same time, because Amazon's built its own delivery network, and so this has impacted the financial fortunes of UPS and FedEx in a very meaningful way. But here I use Researcher to do an analysis of UPS versus FedEx in the last 24 months. It compares, the revenue trends, looks at their profit and loss statements. It builds me a table, a nice little table here where I've got revenues and operating profits and profit per share, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this is all the sorts of stuff that a Wall Street analyst making the big bucks would previously have, be able to pull together with a heck of a lot of work. Analysis of their balance sheet, how much each company's, FedEx's stock has fallen 20%, UPS's has fallen 30%. This is all like extremely good information, nice tables, and then some summary conclusions. And then even here shows me the actual places where all of this data was sourced. So super, super compelling. And let me show you one last use case of Researcher. And just so you know that everything is not, just all about business with me. I'm in fantasy football in the SnapTech Fantasy Football League, and I am lucky enough to have 2 quarterbacks on my team. I have both Mahomes and Jared Goff, and I use Researcher here to actually analyze Mahomes and Goff and to tell me who should I play in any given week. And Researcher, again, can take a topic that's even just something fun in your life and do a really deep analysis and give you really good research and insights. And I'll kind of cut to the chase here, but both while Goff is having a better season in terms of how the Detroit Lions are playing, the better bet is to play Mahomes because he's a quarterback who not only throws a lot but also is really good on the run, and a quarterback that's good on the run gets you more fantasy football points. So real use case, a lot of fun. And this is how Researcher works. Researcher, and I'm going to show you Analyst here in a moment. These tools have been were recently introduced like 3 to 4, maybe 5 months ago, and I think they really are game changers in terms of how Copilot can be used. So moving on, the next thing we're going to look at.
A super quick comment, Ted.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you did like a personal one too, because that has attracted a lot of attention lately. When it comes to Copilot, when it comes to using different AI, a lot of people are like wondering, oh, well, but people are just going to use it to do their fantasy football picks, which that's all you're doing, Ted. And so, but the idea behind it is they'll get better practice. The more you use it, if you do some personal searches as well, it gets you better practice, it gets you better results, and then you can hone your capabilities to prompt it and to use it in different situations to get work done to be more productive.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. I think there was recently a pretty good research report that came out on how employees are using AI tools in the workplace. And to Nathan's point, don't be surprised. Employees are going to use this for everything in their lives, not just work. They're going to use it to plan family vacations. They're going to use it to help their kids in school. And as Nathan mentioned, that's kind of a good thing. You want a huge part of being an effective employee in our knowledge economy is to have critical thinking skills, to be leaning in and trying new things, utilize tools to make yourself faster and more productive. So that's all a good thing, but don't be surprised. Employees will use these tools to do other things in their lives because it makes total sense, right? Okay, different agent, analyst. The way analyst works is analyst is like your data analyst AI assistant. So you can feed analyst spreadsheets, financial documents, a 10K, so a financial report from a company, and you can have it analyze it and give you data back. And so I'm going to ask analyst, I'm going to say, analyze this sales data from SnapTech's Q3 sales data and produce 3 pie charts: sales by salesperson, sales by billing region, sales by sales type. And sales comes from the upfront subtotal column. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to Add this. Let's see here. There it is, sales figures for Q3. So I go and I grab the spreadsheet that I have stored in OneDrive, and then I'm going to ask it to go ahead and produce this. This is one where I'm not going to go, back to the well, if you will, and show you something I ran previously, because the crazy thing about this is it actually is pretty darn fast. And so we may need to tap dance here a little bit, but hopefully what I'm going to show you here in a moment is that analyst has taken this spreadsheet. I guess I should show the spreadsheet. Let me just go do that, because I think it's, let's see here. Let me go grab the spreadsheet that we're talking about, sales figures for Q3. And let me just kind of show you this. It's like, this is a big spreadsheet. It's got, a couple hundred rows of transactions, all in kind of raw data, very loosely organized. But let's actually look at what it was able to do here. So it's almost completed.
Ted, while we're waiting on that, I do have a question. Do
Okay.
we recommend using the web version or the desktop apps?
Okay, that's a good question. It really depends. I think for Word, I think in most cases for Word, PowerPoint, Teams, and Outlook, yeah, I mean, I try to spend as much time as possible. I try to spend as much time as possible in the desktop clients. But really the beautiful thing is that Microsoft today, the web-based versions of the products are just as effective. And so it's really up to you. But Copilot, I think as Nathan showed, Nathan was working on PowerPoint in the web-based version of PowerPoint, and you noticed it was just as effective at creating a really compelling PowerPoint. And so, and one comment that we always make is that, with AI, sometimes there are errors, and like even though I've performed this task with Analyst a couple times, I'm noticing here it just made an error on one of the charts. This chart is actually not accurate. So be forewarned. It doesn't sometimes it doesn't always work perfectly, but this is accurate. This is, well, let's see here. I wonder if we added something to the spreadsheet that got it confused. Let's see here. I think that might be the answer. Well, anyway, so I've run this a couple times, but Analyst, you'll have to trust me. In this demo, it actually is picking up some data point that it's called unknown, and it's screwing up my charts. But so you'll have to trust me. Play with Analyst. We're not going to kind of double and triple click on this particular demo here to try to fix what it's doing, but try out Analyst. It's amazing. You take your data, you upload it, you give it spreadsheets, you give it data tasks, and it can come back with really concrete analysis. I think on this chart demo, for some reason, it's giving me, there's a slight data error, and the unknown data piece is goofing up my charts. So you'll have to trust me. The demo gods were not in our favor on that one, but let's keep moving. The next thing we want to look at today is pages. And so on this one, one of the things you're going to find as you're working in AI tools, and let me just check on our time. We got to kind of accelerate here a little bit, but pages, the way pages work is, you're going to find you're going to be collaborating on content a lot with colleagues once you start using AI. And I think we all get kind of frustrated. I mean, I think one of the cool things about Microsoft's approach with Copilot is the AI lives inside the software tools that we already know and love. And so it really has to fit in, it stand out, but also fit in. So what I want to show you here is I did a researcher task. I asked, hey, what percent of Cisco's revenues are made up by the WebEx division? And it created this research project. And then when you have a result, what you often want to do is, hey, I want to share this with somebody. And what you can do is at the bottom of a result, you'll have a little button that says, create a page from these results. And let me show you what happens is you click on that, and then what ends up happening is it takes your results and it creates a persistent web-based page of your results. So here, now what I end up with is like this nice web-based memo, and I might decide, well, heck, I want to share this analysis with Nathan. And so you click on the share button. What's that?
I said, oh, please do.
Okay, right. So it allows you to go, okay, click here, share these results, and you'll notice one of the things you want to do is you want to, just like anytime you're sharing any document from OneDrive or SharePoint, you have to be mindful of your sharing permissions you're going to set up. And what you'll notice here is I've added Nathan to this page, and then said he can look at this page, and then copied the link. And then what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to go, and let's say I want to then share this with Nathan, and I would click on create a new email, and I would send this to Nathan. There he is, Nathan Caldwell. And I would say, hey, here's the WebEx research. And you paste that in there, and then Nathan will have this hyperlink sent to him where then he can go in and analyze, go in and see that memo, and then actually go in and make edits or make comments. And so that's how pages work, right? So they become these web-based persistent pages. And then the other cool thing you can do is you can immediately export this page into Microsoft Word. And so what it's going to do is it's going to take the page, spawn Word, and then create a page in Word with that content. But I want to keep trucking here because we're kind of running. So I'm going to open Word. Okay. Here we go. And so it's opening the web-based version. The person who asked that question earlier, like, well, tell me about, do I use the web-based version? I think with a lot of these different experiences today, I think you're going to find that you're going to be using the web-based versions more because it's kind of the more collaboration-centric way to use these apps. But let's talk about, so anyway, here is that memo now exported into Word. I could save this off, do redlining, and do all the traditional things that we know and love to do in Microsoft Word. So that's pages. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about notebooks. So let me close some of these things down. And let's go back to here. And I'm just going to go back to Copilot. Now, one of the things, I think as we saw, one of the most powerful, well, one of the things about AI is that we often, often we don't want necessarily, we don't necessarily want a broad-based search when we're doing AI queries. We often want to constrain it. Like let's give a couple quick examples. Like if I was going to build an agent to create an interactive chatbot for our workforce, for our HR department, we would only want that agent to actually work on our employee handbook, our policy and procedure documents. So you often want, when you're creating a chat experience and leveraging AI technology, you want to constrain the documents you would give it. If you were trying to create a chat bot that leveraged the history of your tickets, your support tickets, you would want it to only look at your tickets, not everybody else's tickets. And in the same way, day to day as a business professional, when you are using an AI tool like Copilot, you often want to constrain the range of context that you actually give it, give the tool before you to actually go and do some research. And so what I've done here is that's where notebooks come in handy. A notebook is a part of Copilot which allows you to gather all of the relevant context for a particular topic and to put it in one place so that you have constrain it to just a defined set of documents. And so in this particular demo, I went to a peer group meeting back in Q3 in Denver. And what I did is I took all of my notes from that meeting. I took recordings of a couple of the sessions that I turned into transcripts here. So Evolve Talk, Tax Talk, Jay Young Talk, Matt Ruck Talk. I also got copies of the PowerPoint presentations that the presenters presented. And I put all of this content from this meeting in this one notebook. And now what I can do inside of this notebook is I can ask interactive questions of Copilot that is only going to look at these particular documents. So let's just say, you know, what were the big takeaways on tax policy and the big beautiful bill? Okay, and I'm going to ask it, and it's going to give it a constrained answer. And Copilot, and now when Copilot's analyzing this, it's not taking, you know, going out to the web. It's actually looking at the actual presentation that I sat through in this peer group meeting and looking at the specific transcript of that talk, the PowerPoint, and the actual implications from this expert who I know on a first name basis now because I met him and saw his talk. And so if you are like coming back from a trade show or coming back from a meeting and you want to give a summary to your colleagues, you want to make sure if you're producing summary notes based upon the meeting you were at, that it's going to leverage the content you actually saw. So that's how a notebook works. It allows you to constrain the AI tasks down to a limited set of context that you've given it, so you know that the information you're getting out comes from a authoritative and viable source that you've already vetted. That's how notebooks work. We have flown through a lot of demos here, not leaving us much time for questions. But you know, Nathan, I don't know if there's any final questions. We maybe have time for one, maybe two. But no, if not,
we already covered our questions, Ted. Oh, we have actually how to avoid misinformation or biased sources. And so that notebook exercise that you just showed, it's super helpful for that. But then also making sure that you are especially putting trusted resources into your database. And so if you have white papers, if you have research that you want Copilot to be referencing, then make sure that you're loading that directly in. Ted, any other comments on that?
Yeah, and the other thing, it's a great comment. There's a technical term for when AI solutions get things wrong, and it's called hallucination, and that's the technical term. And the reality is, these tools, it's not autopilot, it's Copilot. We're not replacing human beings. We're providing tools to human beings to make you that much smarter and more productive. And the reality is that we have to quality control what gets produced. And I mean, Nathan gave a good example. Notebooks is a good example. Giving specific context to a search you're doing is a great example that Nathan just mentioned. And then the third thing is look at the sources. We showed how when we did that researcher task, how everything was footnoted and there were a whole bunch of like hyperlinks to the authoritative sources of where that information came from. Check your sources. So those are kind of three pieces of advice we would give everybody in terms of like fighting the hallucination problem, which sometimes crops up with AI tools.
And this isn't new. Even if you have an expert doing your research, a human expert does the research, cites their sources, all that sort of stuff, before you publish it, you go through an editor anyway to catch mistakes. So yes, it can produce hallucinations, but it's not the end of the world. This is a common practice to make sure you edit your stuff, make sure it's right, make sure that the sources are accurate as well.
Yeah, so we're out of time. Sorry we didn't have more time for questions, but you saw real demos today across a range of different solutions. What I want to finish with is if you are an organization that wants to engage with SnapTech to talk about artificial intelligence technology, your own company's AI journey, reach out to us. If you want to talk about cybersecurity or your IT operations, you can go ahead and click or capture that QR code right there and reach out to us. Alternatively, we host webinars monthly, but as we're heading into the end of the year, we're actually doing 2 webinars a month. In November, we're doing 2 sessions. On November 7th, we're going to have an executive panel where we have real life leaders from organizations talking about their firsthand experiences with rolling out AI across their organization. Should be a really interesting conversation. And then on November 19th, we're going to revisit Google Gemini and look at some of the killer new features that Google has introduced in Gemini in the past few months. So hopefully some of these sessions catch your interest and we can see you on a future session. Nathan, thank you so much for joining me today and doing some killer demos. We covered a lot of territory. Thanks so much for collaborating with me on this webinar, and we look forward to seeing everybody on a future session.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ted, and thank you for everybody joining us today. Appreciate it.
Okay, take care now. See ya.